Loconi and Troy Corser. Kageyama crashed in race 1. Haga went out with fuel starvation. The other two guys slugged it out right to the line. Can Tosland get in amongst them? He needs a good start from the second row.
And it looks like Haga again to me.
And Haga, who got a whiplash start in the first race, has once again hurtled down to the first turn. He just edges out his best mate, Yukio Kageyama. Oh, who loses out also to Troy Corser underneath through Cox.
Yeah, but that's what you get for trying to tough it out with somebody who's just got a bit better start than you, and that's paid the price. Had to shut off mid-corner, got a bit wide, and Corser straight up the inside.
One thing I would say that James Tosland didn't want was to see Chris Walker just ahead of him, and Stalker is splitting the Ducatis at the moment. Oh, what a great shot.
That's a shot, isn't it? That is a shot.
Chicane. Fabulous action here as Noriyaga on the Yamaha Italia R1 holds off the Alstara Corona Suzuki. Third is Kageyama, fourth is Regis Loconi, and fifth, trying to go under Walker, looked to be James Tosland.
Yeah, James needs to get past Chris fairly early on. I don't think Chris,
and he has,
with all due respect, can run the same times as James could in the first race. Unless he's made some changes, I think James needed to get past Chris.
In fact, he was jovially saying just before the off on the grid that he reckoned about 10 laps he'd be all right for out of 28, Chris. But the leader is Haga. Behind him, we've got number 11, Troy Corser, Kageyama, Loconi, Tosland and Walker. Then Vermeulen in 7th place. Vermeulen disappointed with his first race performance. He went for a setting he discovered in warm-up this morning as Noriyaga nails it a bit too early coming out of the bus stop chicane. And he found that it just didn't go as well as he'd like. He stepped onto the other bike with yesterday's settings, and he hasn't quite made the start he wanted, but he's in front of Walker now.
In actual fact, the slide that Haga got out the bus stop chicane there did course him more around than Haga, because he was that close behind him. When you see somebody slide in front of you, you think they're going to have an accident and you're going to get somehow tangled up in the same accident. So in actual fact, instead of gaining ground, Corser's lost a little bit of ground there.
That would explain Craig Jones's technique then, because obviously he's frightening people into submission at almost every turn, showing them the back wheel.
Certainly let a few people know they were there, didn't he?
Braking hard into Abbey. How bumpy is it going into there, Craig, on this international circuit that we're not used to in World Supers?
I think you feel them more at the start of the weekend. As you gradually get more and more comfortable with the bike, those things become second nature and they're not in your mind anymore. But certainly at this point, these guys won't be noticing it at all.
Because you know where the bumps are going to come.
Yeah, you're expecting them before you hit them.
Number 41, Noriyaga, still there at the front now as we go through the Nuffield complex. Priory, Brooklands, Luffield, and then finally that bus stop chicane that finishes the lap off in such dramatic style. Oh, incidentally, it was particularly dramatic for Gary McCoy. What happened to him on lap 8 of race 1 on the FP1 when he was well inside the points? He dug in the left-hand footrest on the curb on the inside there and it flicked him off. As it would, really.
As it would, yeah.
These curbs are quite high, and presumably you've got to avoid them generally, Craig.
A few times this weekend.
And Cardozo's down, and Max Neukirchner's in trouble with him.
Yep, and that's Max Neukirchner stalled his bike, and that's him probably out.
Oh, the Coney's involved in that. Oh no, the first race winner, who was confident of a race 2 success as well. Cardozo looks to be hurt, and this is that horrible bus stop chicane, and we didn't see what happened. If I'd been up on my feet, I might have seen it actually in the flesh, but the Coney has gone. What on earth must have happened there then? Laconi was right in the mix. He was ahead of Tosland, and Tosland is now the only Ducati. I was going to say the leading Xerox Ducati. He's the only one there, right behind the 2 Suzukis and the Honda and the Yamaha.
Maybe it was the low place riders, Cardozo, that actually fetched. That was actually fetched off by Laconi, not the other way around that you would assume.
Fastest lap already to Yukio Kageyama, 127.455. This guy, Troy Corser, set on his final lap of race 1, set the fastest lap he'd put in since lap 6 in that 28 lapper.
Yeah, he wanted to win it. You got to take it out to Corser. He dug so deep, and he really wanted to win it. When really, he was gonna gain in the championship anyway, with Kageyama being as far down as he was.
So that little incident has split away the front 4, now in 5th place on yesterday's settings, perhaps more comfortable with them. That's number 77, Chris Vermeulen. Behind him is Chris Walker. And then Carl Muggeridge, who had an ignition problem in the first race that was losing him revs at the top end, which I presume would be fairly vital, would it, around this track?
Yeah, definitely.
You for real? Yeah, revs. Let me think. Yeah, you need a few of them. Yeah.
Was your Honda a match for those others during the oh, hang on, sorry, let's just, before I ask you that, let's just check out what's happening. I don't believe that. That's Fonzo Nieto's second drive-through of the day. He must be thinking that the gods aren't smiling on him. I can't believe that Regis Lecon is out. He's walking back. Could it be that he made some mistakes when he was in good positions last year? Has it been a return to that?
We never saw him make one mistake in race 1.
We certainly didn't, no. Craig, was your Honda in? Oh, Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha. Look at that, Suzuki straight underneath Nori Haga, and that quick burst may have caught Nori by surprise.
Textbook pass there from Troy. He lined him up going down under the bridge and was on the right side to put into that left-hander there.
Yeah, only thing you just saw Haga, when that happened, you saw Haga just look to the inside just in case course had gone in a little bit hot and run a little bit wide. It wouldn't take much, just a yard or so, and Haga would have been back underneath him, but held it all in.
As they cross the line now, they complete 4 laps. Haga with a 127.6, course at 127.2, the fastest lap of the race so far. 127.6 Haga, 127.7 for Kageyama, 127.6 for Tosland, and a 127.5. Vermeulen is on the gas on the Tenkate Winston Honda number 77, and opening up a gap on Chris Walker and Carl Muggeridge. I was going to ask you earlier, Craig, was your Honda in pretty good shape with in terms of outright speed with the ones around you?
Yes, speed. I mean, I was alongside the Tenkate bikes and a few of the other top guys on other Hondas and all of the other manufacturers, and Chris Mayhew's done a fantastic job, and with help from Honda Racing and all of our sponsors this weekend, putting on a bike that I think was capable of finishing on the podium and winning the race.
Well, we thought podium because you were third in qualifying. We thought, hey, we're up for it.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the times, I was doing consistently faster times than Foray, who finished in third, so I'm a bit disappointed, but I've just got to look forward to the rest of the championship.
Fastest lap there is confirmation. Troy Corser 127.289, but at the moment, Haga's staying with him as he tries to break clear. Corser, Haga. First and second, third and fourth, and that's Kageyama, and how far over can this man James Tosland lean? What does it feel like in that chicane, Craig, when you're so slow into it, but you're having to get over so far?
Yeah, you're very lent over, and as we were saying before, them curbs are quite high. You very often clip your toes on the curbs. You're in a bit of no man's land. You're off the throttle, the bike's died, and next minute you're hard on the gas and asking the back tyre to give you every last bit of grip that it can.
Not only that, you've got to be so patient on the left-hander going in to get to square it off really coming out, otherwise you end up getting on the wrong side of the track and not being able to put the power on and just running wide.
I think in the earlier sessions I was losing time trying to gain too much time going into the corner and suffering coming out, which then affects you all the way down the straight.
Yeah, you've got to be a little bit patient, but it's hard when you sat on a bike. It's just all you're thinking about is being as fast as you can everywhere.
Tosland is trying so desperately hard, so late and squirrely on the brakes there, but Kageyama's a demon late braker as well, and he's holding station in third place. And also noticeable, it's great to see Nitro Nori back on the sort of form that we want to see him on, James.
Yeah, it is, and he's a popular rider. He's popular for one reason: it's all action. He never gets involved in anything that isn't. I mean, whether he wants to do or not.
And Tosland, that was Kageyama ran a little wide, and Tosland didn't need a second helping of that. He was straight underneath. Tosland threw into third place.
And clean as you like as well.
Nori Haga, he likes to run up close to other riders, and look at Vermeulen. Vermeulen was third fastest man on the last lap. This time, let's check his lap time, 27.5. So he was just slightly slower than Corser and Haga, but certainly quicker than Tosland and Kageyama. Oh, what? It's just great, going over the top of Cops.
Yeah, that's the first corner. That's the corner that pit crashes.
I was going to say, it wasn't good for pit this morning.
There's certain corners you go around, and every single time you go around them, there's a little voice in the back of your head says, "Oh, I won't want to crash here."
And Andrew Pitt did, big time. So what's the problem? He's got 8 stitches in his calf.
Yeah, his footrest jabbed in the back of his leg, and he's got 8 stitches in his sort of calf and his muscle at the back of his leg. He's banged his shoulder, and he's got bits of skin missing to the back of his shoulder.
So we can safely say that Haga's teammate isn't comfortable.
Apart from that, it's brand new.
There's a heavily pregnant Mrs. Troy Corser there, Sam Davis, just taking things in, leisurely sitting back on the recliner, watching her husband battle away at the front. What exactly happened with did Kageyama just overshoot a bit there? He just seemed to be sat up.
It's very easy in the first part of that corner to go wide, and a lot of the time you just let it run wide and it'll come back to you about 3/4 of the way around. I think Kageyama was just waiting for it to come back online, and Tozun didn't need it.
Oh, look at Haga raising the roof on the grandstand here. Sorry, Craig, what a move on the inside. Just when you were saying that wasn't really a thing you could do.
Yeah,
Has the Yamaha got the legs up the straight? They flashed past us.
It's not about that, it's just what me and Craig were discussing 2 minutes ago. He actually sacrificed the first bit just to park it in the mid-corner, but that made him suffer coming out the right, which means he just got the wrong line out, and so Corsa got the drag. You'll see that bike almost stops now. See how his bike stops, he has to come right from the wrong side.
Yes.
Corsa turns it, but gets a lot better run onto the straight because already Arga's out wide and can't get the power unlocked and the bike's sliding.
But it does make him great to watch. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Haga's playing the game. If you feel that you're struggling to stick with someone, put a pass on them wherever you can. Just basically to
upset them a bit
long and upset them and make sure that they can't keep their smooth lines and put the lap times in.
So coming up to complete lap 12 out of 28 then. Corsa leads it. Haga second, Tolman third. Mrs. Corsa, what is she thinking? 127.5 for the two leaders, 127.3 for Tosland, whereas Vermeulen slipped a bit to a 127.6.
He's immaterial now, Jack, because he's right with him.
He is.
At this point, Tosland will be starting to feel the advantage of actually getting in the draft, as we were speaking about just a second ago.
Not only that, he'll feel the advantage of he's been sort of catching on people in front, and that's a psychological boost, is the fact that, yep, I've caught these boys now.
Following's easy, leading's hard, but so's catching.
Oh, I'm going to try and make a move up the inside of Nori Haga. Yeah, that was an interesting little riddle, and I like that.
If I have 2 apples.
Come on, Tolls. Diving underneath bridge. Is he going to be at this stage? Is he going to start looking for a way round Haga straight away, having hauled in the distance?
Well, for me, no, because he's not catching him that quick to think to himself that he's going to pull away if he can get past. So I think he'll just sit there. What do you think, Craig?
Unsure. I mean, third place always seems a very good place to be, but second's always my preferred place to be all the way through the race. There's only one man in front of you and it only leaves one move, and we'll just have to see what pans out.
It's just still early on, isn't it? We've still got plenty, we've still got 16 laps left.
It'd be a good idea for him to maybe catch his breath and after putting all that hard work in, just to settle in behind them and let them do most of the work for him.
Also, it's a lot easier from where he is, certainly, to give his tyres a bit of a rest, as it were.
I've got to say, the rear view of Norrie going over there at the top of Copse on the crest is just fabulous. He's just got that thing on full boil, drifting its way across the lip.
Just constantly inches away from Troy Corsa's back wheel.
Yeah, fantastic. Kageyama, Walker, look at Walker. Walker's closing down on Kageyama now. He's right there with him, 4 tenths behind. He needs to be because Killy's only 3 tenths back. Mugridge 8th, Pitt 9th, still in front of Arbe. Lanzi, McCoy, Clementi, Bostrom and Massimo Roccoli, who won the European Superstock Championship race this morning, is there with a point in 15th place. You thought in the first race that, James, possibly that Torsland had taken a bit too much out of his tyres.
Somebody else off Arbe, is it?
I think that's Arbe, is it?
It looks...
Can you just stop the
like
heat haze for a minute?
Oh, it's Pryor.
Oh, it's Miguel Pryor, who's the Portuguese, the former Portuguese Supersports champion, who's come down. He's pretty much outside the top 20, but that's not going to make it any less painful for him, bless him. Into the bus stop chicane once again.
And it's at that point the yellow flags are waving, which means there's no overtaking at that point.
Yeah.
Till they've cleared the accident up.
And absolutely level on 2:27.7s as they went through there. Again, Vermeulen picked up a bit of time in 4th place. Kageyama crosses the line, 0.2 of a second in front of Walker, so Stalker surely looking at a possible 5th place as Norrie looks again as they swoop through that left-hander at Maggots. He's thinking about maggoting his way up the inside, I think.
I think it's a good point to mention that this is the first year that Chris has been back on the Kawasaki, and I know myself, after changing from the Triumph onto the Honda, it takes a lot of adapting, and to be running where he is so soon in the season, I think is fantastic.
With not a lot of testing.
Yeah. You were just slagging him off earlier. You're just trying to make it sound like he's best mate now. You can't get back. We heard what you said.
Yeah, but that wasn't on air.
Oh no, it wasn't. Sorry.
Corsa, Haga, Toseland. It was only some reference to Quasimodo. It wasn't anything too rude. Of course, look at this. Toseland is sitting right there with them. And so what you're saying is that if Toseland stays where he is at the moment, then he's not overreaching himself or the tyres or the bike. He's just...
I think, he can. In effect, I don't know if this sounds silly, but in effect, you can have a little bit of a rest. Being in front, you're always under pressure. You're always pushing yourself that little bit more, and you can make a few mistakes, or I always could. Of course, there seems to be able to sit to the front quite happily, no problem. But when you're behind a group, it is easy to sit and have a little bit of a rest.
Talking about a group, Vermeulen goes over the line now, and then the next lot, Kagayama, Walker, Killy, storm across the line as close together as the leaders.
Vermeulen pulled 6/10 back on that last lap.
So Vermeulen has got the gap down to 2.9 seconds, not between him and Toseland, but between him and the leader. Beg your pardon, it is between him and Toseland. I'll get that right in the end. Ripping through the island chicane onto what's loosely called the back straight, which is a long curve. Toseland braking hard underneath Norihaga, and he forces Norihaga out as they go into the Beckett's hairpin, and then the crowd erupt in the grandstand alongside Abbey as they go down under the bridge now, through into second place, James Toseland.
For James to make the move, he must feel that he's confident to get to the front and maybe try and pull away and get some sort of a gap between himself and the two following riders.
Well, the guy he's just overtaken told me this morning that he'd rather be here on a Ducati. He reckons the Ducati is the ideal tool for this shorter Silverstone circuit.
Was that Haga?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he'd like to be here on the Renegade Ducati he won on last year.
That's it. Plug your sponsors.
Sorry, but he's making a pretty good fist of things, I'd say, on the Italia Yamaha right now. Haga had the slower lap then, possibly because he was balked here, was he? Does that cost you a few tenths? And Walker's got past Kagayama on that lap. Stalker charges across in 5th place with a lap of 1:28.1. So he's running a hot pace, which is just a twitch outside what the leaders are doing. And here he is, there's Walker. And there's Kagayama's now under threat from this man, the shortly to 41-year-old Frankie Killy on the famous number 7.
That was Toseland making a move.
That was Toseland making a move, and you said you must have thought that he could get himself through to the front. And
he obviously believes that he can pull a gap. Fingers crossed that he does it.
I'd absolutely agree with you. There's no way he'd be going through now unless he thought he could. He could put a bit of distance between himself and Corsa and Haga.
So he drops through the Brooklands left-hander into the right-hander at Luffield. Terrific response from the crowd now. At last, James Toseland's got where he told them he wanted to get, which is into first place in a race here on his home territory.
Now the hard bit.
Now the hard bit staying there.
Yeah, mentally this is a lot harder trying to pull away. Although, it's working.
They already started to pull a little gap, maybe 1 or 2 bike lengths.
Yeah, the Ducati, it does look particularly good out of that small section. It just seems to dig and find a bit of grip, as opposed to false in the Japanese bikes.
So Toseland's at the front. I've got to say, I hope that his team isn't at the front at the Millennium Stadium. Anybody got any idea what's happening between Hartlepool United and Sheffield Wednesday in that Division 1 playoff? Because that's me versus Toseland, that one.
Yeah, I'm with Toseland then. I live a little bit north of Sheffield.
I think Toseland's starting to show his form they had last year, that won in the World Championship.
I'll tell you what, last year you forget just how determined, and if not fast, really determined, Toseland was last year. He won the championship when nobody...
Oh, look at Norrie, he's just chopping his way around that back wheel of trying to find a way through. He seems to think he's got what it takes to get past Corsa.
Go on, Craig.
The best thing that could probably happen for James is for these two to start dicing and let him break away. The second that they lose the toe, they're going to find it difficult to to catch James in the mood that he's in now.
Absolutely.
Well, and Norrie is not the sort of pest who's going to stop pestering, is he? He's going to stay there having a go.
But lest we forget what happened in race 1, where Corsa really seemed to settle down mid-race and then just came right back and was lapping the last lap as quick as he'd lapped almost the whole race.
It was a sensational last lap, yeah.
So we know he's pretty much got a setup and a tyre and a brain that's going to work to the last lap.
Check the times as they go barking past us now. 27.5 Tolson, 27.6 Corsa Haga, 27.4 Vermeulen in 4th place. So Chris Vermeulen, Walker, Kageyama, Killy through to 7th place.
So Vermeulen, the quickest man on the circuit that lap.
He was, and he has been for the last couple of laps.
Has he?
Yeah.
Down to 2.1 seconds.
He's easing his way into the frame. You can see it's becoming 4 men in the picture.
It'd be good to add a Honda to the Ducati Suzuki Yamaha battle here.
Yeah, it would, and he's trying to do it, isn't he? He's certainly showing better than he did in race 1, so obviously yesterday's settings are suiting him a lot more than what he came out with in race 1. It's a great advertisement, those two together for Alpine Stars. Down on the bridge, and the horns greet the defending world champion and race leader James Tolson on the surviving Xerox Ducati. And this is the move that Frankie Killy's just pulled on Yukio Kageyama. So Killy moves 6th, and Kageyama struggling a bit, fading now down to 7th place. He finished on the podium, of course, didn't he, 2 years ago, his first visit here in British Superbikes. But that wouldn't be across 28 laps. I just wondered a little bit about his kind of stamina, really, James, over 2 28-lap races.
What, being a heavy smoker? He's a heavy smoker.
Well, you know, possibly. I don't
think, to be honest, unless these riders have got an injury, there's absolutely no excuse for being fit enough to not have fitness an issue. If you're injured, sure, that can have an effect, but when they're fit, there's no way there should be an issue.
Troy Corsa really clipping the curve on the way into there.
Incidentally, Arga in 3rd looks exactly the same as my business partner, Paul Shoesmith, who rides British Supersport, as his bike and his leather's exactly the same, and he's the same little sort of stocky...
Oh, we nearly clipped the back of Troy Corsa's bike.
That could be Shoey, that.
Do you know, I've never known he was known as Shoesmith. I'm only known him as Shoey.
Except the fact that Arga's quick and Shoey's not quite that quick. And I hope he isn't that quick. He's in the Isle of Man doing his first TT this next couple of weeks.
I wish Shoey the best of luck and come
take it easy, yeah.
And incidentally, you notice Gary McCoy has just been nudged out of 12th place by Ivan Clementi's Bertocchi Kawasaki. Bostrom is 14th and pressing McCoy. And Giovanni Busai has come through into 15th place. Busai is always showing up a turn of speed in the second half of the race. He was fantastic in race 1. Tolson hasn't broken away at this point, and we've still got a really tight battle on with Vermeulen trying to claw the 3 of them back as they cross the line now. Tolson crosses 1:27.5, 27.4 Corsa, 27.6 Haga, 27.6 for Vermeulen. So Vermeulen's obviously, he's not able to consistently take lumps out of them. He's just having to try and work his way back into the frame.
I think James is pulling the trio of, the pair of Haga and Corsa with him now.
Corsa goes really wide just on that right before he got into that chicane.
I keep thinking he's going to hit the grass.
It doesn't seem to hold him up much.
No.
Yesterday we were watching Haga in qualifying, ramping the second curve there.
Yeah, it did work, did it?
That's a good half a foot high, and I wouldn't want to be doing that.
It did work, did it?
So he's not doing it now then?
No, definitely not. Have some square wheels.
Stalker's having a staggering ride. He's there in, he's got about 1.2 seconds on Killy. He's in 5th place. But look at this. Corsa, what did you say, James? He came on strong in the closing stages, the last quarter of race 1.
He seemed to have a little bit of a plan, didn't he? And he's doing the same again.
So JT, who was awarded the Guild of Motoring Writers Rider of the Year award here at Silverstone on Friday. In deference, of course, to his awarded for that World Superbike Championship victory of 2004, and now the world champion's got a battle on his hand. Look how the Ducati gets out of the bus stop chicane.
It's not, that isn't power, that's just getting power, as I say, to the circuit. And it just seems to be able to find that little bit more traction than the other two bikes.
Even the super sport bikes from first, second, third gear, each change it's spinning up.
Yep.
He's doing a bit of a James Whittam there, leading.
Yeah, that, to be honest, he was a little bit premature with the throttle there. He turned it on before it even got like a degree sat further up, and that's what happens. It goes sideways instead of even spinning.
A lot of the time, if you shut off there, that's when the bike will catch you out of grip. Best to keep it to the start.
Coming out of where?
Out of the slow bus stop.
It was looking like you just then as he backed into, was it Abbey, that hairpin?
I wish I could say I taught him everything he knows.
He's been watching. Chris Vermeulen once again seems to be managing to just inch his way back in. He's having another good lap on the 10 Carter Honda.
I think again he's doing the same job as what Tozen had to do earlier.
Just work his way in, inch by inch, as we complete lap 22. There's only going to be 6 laps to go after this one. Tosland hammers across the finishing line. 127.4, Corsi 127.5, Haga 127.58, and Vermeulen 127.7. So Vermeulen seems to be just losing the edge there.
I was going to say, I think he just needs another. Well, he's got 5 laps to do it, and I think he probably needed about 7. But he does seem to be losing a little bit of time now.
As we said before, the second that he just gets in the toe, it'll make it just so much easier for him, and that last second will come easy.
But he hasn't quite managed to get that close, has he? He's working at it.
Awesome on the brakes for Vermeulen.
I was just thinking Corsa looks pretty handy on the brakes into there. Oh, Norik Arbe. He's pleasantly in 10th place. He's just. Oh, and he's caught. I was going to say he's just behind Pitty, but they both caught Muggers.
Yeah, slugging it out with Pitty and Muggers there. Both Muggers and Pitt fairly well knocked about as well, because Muggeridge was off this morning as well.
But his was a relatively slow speed one, as he tries to look back up the inside of his fellow World Super Sports champion, but there isn't any gap there, and Muggers looks underneath, and we'll find that Norik Arbe is staring straight at him. So Andrew Pitt takes the Yamaha Italian R1. He's having a good ride, isn't he, for the state?
Yeah, considering, yeah.
This could work 2 ways for Pitt. He could either, the adrenaline could kick in and he'll forget about his aches and pains, or they could start to come into play more. Hopefully the first.
Yeah, I don't think he looked like it was going to hold him up that much, to be honest. In fact, I thought we were putting it on a bit.
We'll tell him that, James.
No, wait till I've gone.
And here comes Arbe up the inside, and the Muggers going into the bus stop. And it doesn't look as if Muggeridge has got the grip to do anything about it coming out. And there's about 4 or 5 bike lengths between them as they cross the line. Meanwhile, back at the pointed end of the race, onto the back straight, Tosland still has the advantage. I'd like to see Tosland win this.
Yeah, me
because,
too.
We've seen Ducati take their first victory of the season in race 1 with Regis Laconi. Laconi had something go wrong for him in the bus stop chicane. Right at the beginning of this race, he disappeared, and Tosland's taken on the mantle for Xerox Ducati, but the Alstara Corona Suzuki's pressing.
I just have a feeling that Corsa's got this one, at least a plan. I think he just does have a plan to win it.
At this point, Tosland's showing Corsa everywhere where he's fast and where he's struggling, and Corsa's a very experienced guy, and he'll be taking this all in, and hopefully he won't come up with a plan to get past our champion.
Oh, it's Tosland that experience that is giving him a bump steer and doing the wrong lines.
Yeah, a lot of the time you can try and full brake early in places and tip in early, and then when it comes to the last lap,
do it right.
Yeah.
It's hard to pull off.
A trick that I used to use is sit up 50 yards before you brake.
But don't brake. Yeah. Sit up but don't brake.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you see somebody sit up in front of you, it means they broke. So they brake, but you haven't actually broke, you just sat up and get the throttle pin.
I probably won't get away with that one again now.
Not with me, you won't.
Vermeulen's really blown his pursuit, I think, fellas. He was 3/10 off the pace on that lap, and it looks to me as if no matter how hard he's working, he's just not going to make any further progress right now on this trio. And here's Stalker and Killy side by side as they go up the back straight.
It seemed that the Honda there had a lot more power on the Kawasaki, and Chris is doing a fantastic job keeping Frankie Keeley behind.
Yep, that's what it looked like to me as well. It looked like the Honda were very quick.
Pure aggression there, and Walker versus Killy. That's for 5th place, of course. Only Vermeulen lies between this trio and that battle we've just glimpsed.
Yeah, both of the housewives' favourites there battling it out on the track.
James Toseland, meantime, the schoolgirl's favourite at the front, ahead of Troy Corser and Norrie Hager. Hager's hanging in there. You keep thinking he's just lost contact with him, and then he's back. He struggles to get the power down as he comes out of the final chicane. There's only 3 laps left. And Toseland, 128.26. Corser, 27.826 against Corser, 127.824. 0.02 of a second in it on that lap. I think Norrie wants to have a dip at Corser.
That's the idea.
He does, doesn't he? And that would at least take Corser's mind off Toseland.
I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
It seemed like he lost a little bit of time to Troy and James just a couple of laps ago, and it seems like he's having to dig deep now and try and pull that time that he lost.
Vermeulen's gone into the 128, so these are the 3 riders still in the mid-27s. Meanwhile, Walker still holding off the Team Claffey Honda of Frankie Keeley. It's great to see Chris having a ride like this on a track he just never
really
ever got to grips with.
Yeah. You got to take it after Keeley though. At his age, he's still game on.
And don't forget, he's still got that collarbone and knee injury he's nursing from that vast get-off at Phillip Island. Meanwhile, at the front, ahead of these guys, Toseland, Corser, and about a 40-metre gap now back to Norrie Hager. It's definitely going to be down in the last 2 laps to Ducati versus Alstara Corona Suzuki. This is Walker Killy, Kageyama alone now in 7th place. This is the battle for the lead. And Toseland still there ahead of Corser. Toseland. Oh, great. That flick through that series of bends at Island is just fantastic.
He's white line to white line everywhere, and the most determined that I've seen him in all year.
Yeah, me as well. And this is where he just needs to be absolutely smooth, perfect, do not make a mistake.
Pitt just 0.2 of a second in front of Arbe as they went across the line in 8th and 9th place. They've dropped Muggeridge. McCoy still there in 13th, clear of Bostrom on the Koji Renegade Honda, and Giovanni Busset in 15th. Now Kirchner, incidentally, down in 18th place, recovering from that getting impeded by that accident in the bus stop chicane that involved Regis Laconi.
Yeah, well, he actually had to stop, get off the bike, pull it backwards, and then get going again. Not ideal.
Not ideal. Right, who's your money on? Craig, we've got 1 lap to go.
JT all the way.
Yep,
James?
Yeah.
Across as they howl across the line now. One last time then into Copse Corner. The 28th and final lap. James Toseland in the lead for Xerox Ducati ahead of Troy Corser and Norrie Hager.
It definitely looks like he's got a little bit in hand.
He does, and what Toseland needs to do, if ever you should, I reckon, have a look round, because he doesn't need to ride defensive and slow himself up. He just needs to do the fastest line he can and not make a mistake.
Corser will be on the wide lines, and Toseland will be defending, thinking that he's going to have a
right behind him.
Anywhere when he doesn't need to be doing that.
He doesn't. He needs to be on a fast line, as fast as he can get.
And I tell you what, James was 0.06 of a second quicker on that last lap than Troy. So I think he's focused completely on doing as you say.
He is, and he did certainly into the air, but he didn't defend at all. He just had his normal line.
It's very difficult to pass in this next complex section before the start and finish straight, so hopefully he can hold.
And I think he's just got enough. Come on, James.
Tremendous reception from Toseland as he keels into this final section. This is Brooklands round the left-hander.
Corser's still pushing.
And then they go right round Luffield. 180-degree right-hander at Luffield. And then the final bus stop chicane. That's all that separates James Toseland from his first victory of 2005 here at Silverstone.
He's got to have it. Got to.
He's just got to get the power fed in as he comes out of the final chicane. Toseland takes the win, glancing over his shoulder, shaking his head with joy. Second place for Corsa, third for Noriyuki Haga, fourth place for Chris Vermeulen. And the battle for fifth, and it's Killy. Killy's got it from Stalker as they came into the final chicane. Stalker comes up the inside of the PSG1 Kawasaki, but Frankie Killy has it as they storm across the line by about a bike length and a half. And Stalker will be miffed with that, but you couldn't lose out to a finer competitor. James Toseland, he lost out to nobody. He's delighted, the Xerox Ducati team. They've managed 2 wins on the day after being really well beaten throughout the season until they reached Monza.
It doesn't get any better for that after a season like James has been having up to now, and look at him out there, he's over the moon.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's exactly what he needed, and that's what he's saying he's been going to do for the last 2 or 3 meetings, but that is exactly what his season needed.
The hardest thing is knowing that you can do it and then not being able to put it together.
James Toseland beats Troy Corsa and Norrie Haga to take race 2 victory here at Silverstone.